you better lock in and buckle up, bucko, because you're in for another creepy and scary TikTok reaction video. You want to be careful on these creepy, scary, disturbing, weird, and strange videos because they might just change your entire reality and keep you up the entire night. If you haven't already, please smash that like button and elbow drop that subscribe button. And remember, these videos are strictly for entertainment purposes only. It's up to us to distinguish fact from fiction and do our own research on everything. And remember, keep your head on a straight swivel. Let's get into it.
Artist signs his masterpiece so everyone knows who the creator is. And today we are going to be talking about God's signature on his masterpiece. Now for this, we're going to go back to our 7th grade science class just briefly to refresh our memories on our DNA. So this is deoxyribonucleic acid, and it is found in every single one of our cells. When our chromosomes are unraveled, we get this. Now the structure is similar to a spiral staircase or a double helix, and it has these bases that are paired together. And when they're paired together, they are held together by these bridges. Now it is the pattern of these bridges that is interesting to us because when they're formed, they actually form a sequence, and it goes every 10, 5, 6, 5. It's those 4 again and again and again. Now in the Hebrew language, letters have a numerical value. So when we plug these numbers into the gematria calculator, you actually get our Lord's name, Yahweh. 10, 5, 6, 5. Our Father's name is encoded in the DNA of every single human being on the planet. Just like every artist in history signs his masterpiece, our Father signed his. Every artist signs his masterpiece so everyone knows who.
That's tough, y'all. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
In your genetic code, it's a double helix that right turns, and there are these sulfur bridges in the midst of every single atom that you have that has a code. And what happens is every 10 there's a bridge, and then every 5 there's a bridge, and then every 6 there's a bridge, and then every 5 there's a bridge, and then it repeats over and over and over and over again. And that's a part of your DNA, that's a part of my DNA. This is something that we just recently discovered. This whole thing of 10, 5, 6, 5. Well, what is amazing is with the numbers actually correspond with Jewish letters. The number, if you notice that there's 2 number 5s, both of those are H's. And then if you'll notice that the number 10 is a Y and the number 6 is a W, it's how the Jews spell Yahweh. And God's name is literally written in your DNA. Okay, well, you see how there's 2 number 5s and there's 2 H's. The word for both of those is behold, behold. The symbol for the Y is a hand, and the symbol for the W is a nail. The name Yahweh means behold the nails in my hands. In your genetic code, it's a...
I believe the correct name is Yahuwah, but yeah, the information's there.
The numbers of the atomic mass are the numbers that equate to the mysterious letters in the ancient alphabets. What that means is when you look at human DNA, or the DNA of any life, it is made of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and using gematria, the numbers that equate to those become 1, 5, 6, and 3. 3 is with the carbon. And when you then take a table, one of the ancient tables, and you're able to correlate those numbers with the letters, what we find, George, is that the human DNA is our genome is built in layers. And at the top layer, it's like every book has an introduction. The introduction in every cell of every form of life, carbon-based DNA, the introduction is the same. And the first translation literally reads, literal, God eternal within the body. God eternal within the body. And God that is depicted in the DNA is actually spelled the way that the name of God was spelled in the ancient texts before it was removed 6,800 times. In the Torah, for example, the sacred name of God is believed to be so sacred it cannot be written.
His name is in our DNA. You are actually right. You couldn't be any more right. Watch this.
In your genetic code, it's a double helix that right turns, and there are these sulfur bridges in the midst of every single atom that you have that has a code. And what happens is every 10 there's a bridge, and then every 5 there's a bridge, and then every 6 there's a bridge,
All right,
and
here we
then
go.
every 5 there's a bridge, and then it repeats over and over and over and over again. And that's a part of your DNA, that's a part of my DNA. This is something that we just recently discovered. This whole thing of 10, 5, 6, 5. Well, what is amazing is with the numbers actually correspond with Jewish letters. The number, if you notice that there's 2 number 5s, both of those are H's. And then if you'll notice that the number 10 is a Y and the number 6 is a W, is how the Jews spell Yahweh. And God's name is literally written in your DNA. Okay, we see that there's 2 number 5s and there's 2 H's. The word for both of those is behold, behold. The symbol for the Y is a hand, and the symbol for the W is a nail. The name Yahweh means behold the nails in my hands.
His name.
This is not an animation. This is an actual kidney cell. They use a special dye. This stuff makes these cells literally expose what's going on. They have something guiding them to do what they're doing, and I believe 100% this is the breath of life that we can't replicate in action. You will watch and see for yourself. This is not random. We are not random. This is unfolding like something they would tell us is magic if it was happening on a larger scale. Look at this. Something at work, a force in motion. And all of a sudden it pulls apart. How? What force? They tell us it's some polar force. How do those polar forces know to just kick in? Once they have everything divided equally with your chromosomes, the matching pairs being divided to both sides of the cells. Look at that. How beautiful this is. And I thought the nucleus was the brain of the cell. This is not an animation. This is an actual kidney cell.
Would you like to hear a secret about the Tetragrammaton that many people don't know? Oh. Ow. The consonants in Yahweh's name are YHWH. At some point, the name became so sacred that you were no longer supposed to speak it. Because of that notion, we have completely lost how the name is supposed to be pronounced. Many people say Yahweh, that is the scholarly consensus, so that's what I usually say. But somewhere around the 5th and 6th centuries, when scribes would write the Tetragrammaton, they would take the vowels from Adonai and add them in between the YHWH, just as a reminder to not say the holy name, but to say Adonai. Adonai means my Lord, or plural, my lords. Here comes the fun part. Adonai comes from a Canaanite word, Adon, and Adon means my Lord and is a title for Baal Hadad. Centuries later, after we've forgotten how to say the Tetragrammaton, other scribes came across the spelling of Yahovah, which is the Tetragrammaton, with the vowels from Adonai in between, and they thought that was Yahweh's name, Yahovah. Yahovah eventually got transliterated into Jehovah. My point in all this is that we need to acknowledge that Hebrew religion did not come out of a vacuum. A once Canaanite honorific title and name is now forever intertwined with one of the gods of the Bible, Yahweh. Canaanite thought, inventions, language, religion inspired the world. Would you like to hear a secret about the Tetragrammaton that many people don't know? Oh.
This is not what you guys think. This is not what you guys think it is. Now I'm gonna show you something. Then you're gonna understand it is not what you think it is. Watch this. You see it? You know what that is? Alright, I'm gonna show you again. You see it?
There's no way.
This is not what you guys think it is. Now I'm gonna show you something. Then you're gonna understand it is not what you think it is.
Hold on.
Watch this.
Was
You
that
see it?
really? Look at that little alien on his thing. Reminds me of the alien from Men in Black that was inside him, talking about Orion's belt. Now tell me, what is that doing on the, this is the Pope, right? What's it doing on his gown or whatever?
You know what that is? Alright, I'm gonna show you again.
Damn, this is the exact same thing. Is a crop circle actually like that? What are they trying to do?
You see it?
These are some demonic sigils.
This
They're demonic sigils, I believe. Do I dare want to go down this rabbit hole? Oh my God.
If y'all want to do some real Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stuff on a next level, I'm gonna tell you what are also sigils, but nobody really perceives it like that, which are nothing but what you call what do you call these things?
Crop circles? Crop circles?
Crop circles.
Yeah.
Get you some crop circles, family, right? Take the crop circle, put it under your pillow when you go to sleep. And watch your subconscious mind connect to this energy, right? This is an energy. This is a random one I pulled up, right? Now, I done went on some incredible galactic trips. Forget the mushrooms, forget the peyote. Put this under your pillow. I double dog dare you. Put it under your
Don't do it. Do not do it.
pillow and watch what happens, family. Put one of these crop circles. If you want to go on another level, because this is already sigils right here. A sigil is a symbol or a signal, right? Once you create it, it sends off a signal to your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind already knows what it means before you even write it. It is the super mind, right? And when you put something like this on your pillow and you fall asleep, you will, man, listen, I don't experience some stuff that is wild. Now, if you're scared, don't do it. Now, if y'all want to do some real Hitchhikers,
don't do it. I repeat, do not do it.
Crop circles, those intricate
Did you know crop circles are actually created by pranksters? Yes, while they might.
This free energy device was created off the blueprint of an alien created crop circle. Now, crop circles are markings by extraterrestrials that typically display free energy devices, coded messages in binary for humanity, the layout of our universe, and much, much more. Now, if you're a skeptic at whether or not these crop circles are real, I'm going to show you something right now. This man is named William Levingood. He's been studying crop circles for an extremely long time. Now, what he noticed on the real crop circles is the seeds of the stalks would all explode out of the nodes, and the soil underneath the crop circles would become extremely crystallized, which can only happen under immense pressure and heat, which, if done by humans, would have incinerated the whole crop. We do not have the technology to do this. Now, it's good to note that not all crop circles possess these qualities. Some are fakes. Now, where it really gets mind-blowing is that when we decode some of these crop circles, we can see that the extraterrestrials are trying to help humanity by providing blueprints to free energy devices. For example, this crop circle displays magnetic wheel energy, which they put right beside a windmill because it is far more efficient than that technology. And it's also free energy. This crop circle was decoded, and it's known as the most beautiful and precise mathematical equation of all time, Euler's identity. And this crop circle has a message for humanity in binary code that will absolutely blow your mind. They also created this crop circle after the molecular structure of melatonin about 12 hours after the Norway massacre. Crazy. This free energy device was created off the blueprint
About the crop circles.
It's funny that you instinctively just said that, because that's kind of what I've realized they are. They're cymatics of the Earth speaking.
if y'all want to,
What do you feel about the crop circles?
It's funny that you instinctively just said that, because that's kind of what I've realized they are. They're cymatics of the Earth speaking to us. And what's interesting is there's videos where these little orbs come about, and then you see this design being drawn. and that those orbs, I've learned, are the compression of certain materials stacked on top of each other, which then create the orbs. That's where, like, all those people, when they're like, oh, there's all these ghosts over there. Well, there's actually compressions of certain types of materials which stack together, create a chemical reaction, and then you have this orb. But I believe with the crop circles that it's Mother Earth speaking to us. And when I started to look at all of them, I started to see designs, I started to see like inventions, I started to see actually a lot of things related to atmospheric energy. You know, I started to see alignments, like things like the eclipse and how like significant the eclipse is. And like even here, we had 2 eclipses, you know, in 2 weeks. And if you stared into it, your energy goes through the roof. You know, so all these things that Mother Earth is trying to communicate with us. And like you said, we used to be tapped into this. We used to be able to see these frequencies or at least tap into that. And we've disconnected and lost that. But the crop circles thing's just as wild because they even said too that people will meditate in them. Their energy will go very high. Or they'll notice all these plants, that same thing. The plant growth is like wild. And they noticed, what's the other thing? They noticed like all these different types of rare plants popping up in that same spot. So it's almost like, in my opinion, Mother Earth is trying to communicate us and trying to tell you something, and you need to pay attention. But we don't understand it anymore because we speak with this new language that we have instead of symbols and shapes and understanding fractals or frequency. You know, because everything has a frequency, everything is a fractal, you know, everything is designed into that. And Marcel Vogel did a lot with that. He did a lot with his crystals and talking to plants and creating liquid crystal displays, but crop circles kind of took me to about 1,000 different other rabbit holes that I didn't know I was going to lead to. But it was just remarkable to understand that, you know, this energy is there. It's always present. And, you know, it's for us to tap into. Otherwise, it gets named when pseudoscience and all the Rockefeller terms and everything else.
Hootie said that did experiments with crystals. Where's my pen?
Fractal. You know, everything is designed into that. And Marcel Vogel did a lot.
Marcel Vogel, you say? Let me see if I'm spelling it right. Marcel.
Everything is a fractal. You know, everything is designed into that. And Marcel Vogel.
Is it possible that crystals can be imprinted or programmed with human thoughts and emotions? IBM scientist and one of the earliest pioneers into the research of liquid crystal displays, Marcel Vogel, believed that crystals can be implanted with human thoughts and emotions. According to Marcel Vogel, crystals, especially quartz crystals, are a radio transmitter, a memory element, a transceiver, and a computer. Vogel was a serious scientist with over 28 patents granted to him during his time working for IBM. After his time at IBM, Vogel dedicated his entire life to the study of the interaction of human thoughts and crystals. In his last years on this earth, much of his time was dedicated to what is known as the Vogel crystal, a crystal specially cut to amplify, coalesce, and focus thoughts and energy. According to Vogel, this was simply a rediscovery of ancient technology used in Atlantis. What do you guys think about this? Is it possible that crystals can be imprinted?
Well, we all know about if you bang 2 crystals together, it creates energy. So why wouldn't it work?
And so we helped create all of our modern computers by creating the magnetic coding for hard drives. And so we helped create all of our modern computer technology by creating the magnetic coding for hard drives. But he later became known as the guy that created the Vogel crystal, which is a very precisely cut, double-terminated crystal. And so it was great to be able to work with him directly at that time and take some trainings from him. But what's fascinating with that is you can still find pictures on the internet where he understood how mind power interacts with physical matter, particularly through crystalline matrices. One thing that you can find on the internet is a picture that he focused on a plate of amorphous liquid crystals. There's no image in it. And he meditated. He was a Catholic. He meditated on the Divine Mother. And what you'll see in the picture is a perfect picture of a robed woman, the Divine Mother, in color on the liquid crystal template that he imprinted with the force of his mind. And it's absolutely incredible when you see it. Now, on top of that, he would talk privately about other things that he could do because he would make sure that the Vogel crystals were cut at a specific angle. He said every angle has a different power. And if you see things with the different angles, like in nature, they have that angle to access whatever that power is. And so he helped create all of our modern computer technology by creating the...
Is a crystal just a piece of rock? Yes, 1,000. While at IBM, he had come across 2 articles that ended up capturing his attention, although not after initially first dismissing the idea. One of the articles was by Cleve Baxter, Do Plants Have Emotions? And another article in Popular Electronics, which had a wiring diagram for a device that measured the electrical reactions of plants. It was through Marcel's extensive experiments with plants that would ultimately lead him to the understanding necessary to clear, program, and effectively use crystals for remarkable energy work. Marcel's experiments mirrored the results of Cleve Baxter's, in which he found that plants, when hooked up to a device like a lie detector or polygraph machine, would react or send out a signal when a leaf was torn, burned, or the plant was uprooted. More amazingly, however, was that Marcel found that the plant would react to just the thought of having something done to it. In other words, the plant had the ability to feel and read the thoughts and intent of the experimenter. If the experimenter pretended that he was going to tear a leaf, the plant would not react, as it knew that the experimenter was bluffing. That intent was everything, and the addressing mechanism used was of paramount importance for being able to program crystals and to magnify their power. The Wheatstone Bridge showed Marcel that when a breath was slowly released in a natural way, the instrumentation recorded little activity. But when the breath was held and then released in a sudden burst, in a pulsed release from one's nostrils, the recording charge was consolidated and took on a laser-like quality, and the recording activity would be nearly off the charts. Intent, done with a strong outward nostril breath, was ultimately the most effective method which plants reacted to the most, that he could make a plant register on the recording device up to 8,000 miles away. In the experiment, he took 2 plants and plucked a leaf from one of the plants and found that the second plant would respond to the injury of the first plant, but, here is the but, only if he was paying attention to the plant. He concluded that it was his own mental responses that were being recorded through the plants. In other words, the plants were effectively mirroring Marcel's own consciousness. This work convinced Marcel that the experiments were revealing a method of storing both subtle and psychic energy. He felt that the plants were acting like batteries for his own thoughts and intentions. Marcel said, "There is energy connected with thought. When one pulses one's thought, that energy becomes coherent, and that coherence of thought has the power of a laser. And when one inhales and the diaphragm and muscles between your ribs contract, a negative pressure or charge is drawn into the body. When one exhales, a positive charge is discharged." Marcel felt that what was occurring on a more esoteric level was that the inhalation draws in pranic life force energy, and exhalation releases the power of thought. This is what Marcel ultimately applied to his technique he taught for clearing and programming crystals. Although Marcel extensively worked with liquid crystals at IBM, it would not be until later that Marcel would begin to work with natural quartz crystals. It was after a lecture Marcel had given on his work with plants that he was approached by a woman named Dr. McKistry. Dr. McKistry proceeded to tell Marcel that she had some quartz crystals that would vibrate in one's hand when held. She persuaded him to take a look into them, and following the lecture sent him a sample of one of these crystals to his lab. Marcel describes his first experience with the crystal in the following quote: "I took the crystal that she had sent me, held it in my hand, drew my breath in, and happened to point the crystal at a friend of mine JetskiChucK. As I pulsed my breath, a charge went through the crystal and into this man. His head went back, and he went into an altered state of consciousness. That was my first encounter with a crystal. I said, "This is for the birds. I want nothing to do with it." End quote. Being that Marcel was an open-minded scientist, rather than simply writing off and forgetting about this experience, he overcame his resistance and hesitancy and began his work with crystals. He soon immersed himself into his research and discovery on crystals. There were limitations to the way quartz was in its natural form. It was hard to repeat experiments as natural quartz varies in its geometric shapes, and each piece is a bit different from the next. As a scientist, Marcel needed more uniformity. Marcel felt that in order to do that, the crystal would need to be optimized by the proper cutting and faceting of the crystal. He likened it to a ruby. A ruby, in its uncut state, lacks the ability to cut through steel and focus light. When the same ruby, however, is precisely faceted and optimized, it can focus light with precision and cut through metal and other materials effortlessly. While at IBM, he had come across 2 articles that...
Wow, that was fascinating. Especially the part about the plants where it said that it could feel it only when the plant could react. That was fascinating, especially the part where the plants could physically react to you, but only when you thought about it. That kind of reminds me of the split helix test on a quantum level. Like, you won't be able to see the split particles until you look at it. So it's almost like it's working off of a conscience or something. I don't know. This is getting deep, but it's getting very interesting. Drop your thoughts below. I'm going to see if I can find something on the split helix for us.
When a laser...
All right, guys, forgive me. It's called the double slit experiment. And it kind of goes in correlation with what we're talking about, because it literally doesn't react until we look at it. But here's proof of it on a quantum level.
When a laser emits beams of light particles called photons at a screen with 2 slits, you'd expect to see 2 strips to correspond with the 2 slits. Instead, we see a pattern of light and dark bands. This suggests that light behaves like waves that pass through both slits simultaneously, interfering with each other to create the pattern on the second screen. However, when scientists used a measuring device to observe the slit that each photon passed through, the interference pattern disappeared, and 2 strips appeared. The act of observing which slit it went through changed the behavior of the photons. No one knows why observing a particle causes its behavior to change. When a laser emits beams of light particles...
We're on to something. I can feel it.
This is called the double slit experiment, and it proves that we live in a simulation. When you're not observing something, it doesn't exist. It's a wave of possibilities. It's like a video game. It hasn't even rendered in yet. As soon as you observe it, that's when it becomes solid matter. Nothing is real.
Since the photons travel one by one, some through this slit, some through that slit, you would expect them to leave a pattern of 2 stripes on the wall. And you would be wrong. They mysteriously create a band of stripes. This is what you would expect to see if a constant beam of light shined through the 2 slits. It would spread across the wall like a wave. So how can single bullet-like particles of light create a wave pattern? This could only happen if the particles go through both slits at the same time. In other words, the particle is in 2 places at once. But strangest of all is what happens when you put detectors next to the slits. When the photons are being watched, the wave pattern disappears. Take away the detectors, and the wave pattern comes back. This suggests that we can change the way reality behaves just by looking at it. Does this mean that reality itself...
This is called the double slit experiment.
It's very interesting. I highly suggest you check it out. I had no idea that crystals can connect with the body like that. It kind of reminded me of chakra points, but he was able to control the chakra points. That's what I was getting from it. We might have to dive into this a little bit more. All right, guys, we're going to dive in a little bit more into crystals with these disturbing new theories that's coming at us. You know, it's only right we dive into crystals a little bit more. Buckle up.
An appearance has become the standard when we turn on the TV or read a newspaper. There are 3 ways they blend into society relatively unnoticed. They can transfer their projected consciousness from body to body via underground cloning centers. In these centers, there are operations in place which make sure reptilian entities have an endless supply of human bodies with the right genetics to inhabit. They also drone the bodies of already established figures. This is where the concept of body snatchers comes from. But the main way they blend in is by using advanced holographic technology to cloak themselves. Liquid crystals are matter in a state which has properties between those of conventional liquids and those of solid crystals. Scientists for years have been studying liquid crystals for use in 3D holographic technologies.
Hold on, liquid crystals. We gotta write that down. Liquid crystals.
In this video, this guy describes a liquid crystal that most people call black goo that has the ability to tell when it's being observed and much more. Make sure you watch until the end and let me know what you think in the comments below.
The little pictures from the microscope. This is German rain. And if you want to know what this liquid does, you can have a look at it in the lab. When you have bigger amounts of it, it looks like this. It's a liquid crystal. This liquid is self-organizing physically. And this, at the moment, is sleeping. It's not aware of being observed, it's quiet. Sometimes when it doesn't like to be observed, it might jump out of the pot straight into your face. If you have 2 of those in one room, get them 5 meters close to each other, they stare at each other, then they decide that they want to be united. And then they start to pull. It's like magnetism, but it's intelligent. And when they realize that you hold them within the vessel and they cannot escape, they get angry and start to shake the vessel and try to break through the wall. Because they know once they are through, they can flow over the ground and unite to a bigger unit. This is something you can just observe in the lab. And especially this liquid was extracted from those black stones. This is World War II leftovers. We found them in an underground facility in Bavaria, 1/2 ton of it. So we can imagine that the SS processed quite a bit of this. And I guess that the guys found also the technology to extract the oil from it. Must have been there in written form because they did it in the lab successfully.
Liquid crystals? Could this be the real Venom symbiote? That's interesting. I want to dive a little bit more into this, see what we can find on these dark waters.
And let everyone be at peace. It's okay. To my grandma, I want to say, you love your kids so much, and thank you for the teddy bear you gave me. Mommy, promise me you won't cry. Be happy, not trapped. And don't try so hard for someone to love you. Don't push them away either, and don't cry about not being loved by Tony. This was all an accident.
That's looking real crazy.
Don't push them away either, and don't cry about not being loved by Tony. This was all an accident.
Of a shapeshift caught by a bunch of phones in the same theater. Now you look, it's almost as if it needed to pull the energy from the person. Because this, you know, I mean, this is wild. And this was 2017 or 18. But as we've said, truth is stranger than fiction. You think Doctor Strange is a wild story? It's 10 times more wild than that, if not more. But God is over all and will crush. This is a well-known video of a shapeshift.
I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. Does liquid crystal have some type of role with aliens or maybe with our cellular devices? I don't know. But that liquid crystal on the phone, what was that? What is in our TVs? You guys tell me what is inside our TVs. That looked crazy. That looked just like the liquid crystal, whatever they're talking about.
Those racists told me it's all just a joke. He says it doesn't really happen. He says he put them on his website just to annoy the weapon. He says he put them on his website just a joke. He says it doesn't really happen. He says he put them on his website just to annoy the local sheriff, Russ. Well, no. Advertises those racists told me it's all just a joke. He says it doesn't really happen. He says he put them on his website just to annoy the weapon. He says he put them on his website.
The crazy part about this is it happens only to his face and his skin. That's the wild part about this.
Just a joke. He says it doesn't really happen. He says he put them on his website just to annoy the local sheriff, Russ. Well, advertise.
That is wild. Look at this. How do you make that up? Huh? And whereas you saw iron mixed with murray clay, and they shall mingle themselves with the seed of man. Daniel 2:43. Anchor's face, it's all shaped. Iron mixed with clay? What? For entertainment purposes, of course. Hey, it might be a coincidence. The reptilians is out here. You better watch out. Got your bells. Ringing those bells so the vibrations can't shapeshift with the vibrations. Remember that.
Imagine being a shape-shifting fallen angel, okay? The reptilian thing is probably just a whole ploy, and aliens, it's a whole ploy to set up. So, anyway, but imagine being able to manipulate this energy, because that's what they could do. It's all just energy, right? This is all energy, and just like protons and neutrons can do whatever they want, whenever they want, so shape-shifting aliens have the authority and the awareness over this energy to do what they want at will. What do they choose to do? Attack God's children. What do they choose to do? They get their pleasure out of trying to tear down human beings and set up these systems to fail, this fictitious inflation, and wars and prejudices and all these different ideals and stupid or, turning religions against each other and all these things that play on our ego. First they created our ego, ego, edging God out, right? The knowledge of good and evil, the knowledge of right and wrong. They poisoned us with this judgmentalism. They caused us to sin, to separate us from God, and further disillusion us with NASA and all this bullshit to mess with us, to ruin our sense of reality or know our identity in Christ and in God, right? Like every system, every civilization has risen and fallen because they're run by these shape-shifting fallen angels that cause them to fall, right? They got us addicted to money, right? They got us controlled. We're willing to kill each other over colored pieces of paper. That's how pathetic this situation is, people. So their problem is they have control. They probably don't even need to eat food, but maybe they do. Maybe they need to intake energy still. Like, I don't know how it works for an angel, but they can do whatever they want, whenever they want within this system. So there's no gratification there. See, we have to work at things to become gratified, to achieve things and become happy, right? And earn money to get this and that, to be happy, or achieve, a vacation, or achieve a motorboat, or whatever it is you want, right? A nice house that make us happy. But they don't have this sense of happiness because they have everything they need at any time, because it's just energy that they know how to manipulate, right? But they have certain limits, right? God has them on a leash, right? Like if they cross certain lines, then for sure God's gonna, they can't, right? We have more authority than them. We are children of God that He's protecting. But if we sin and we let them in through sin, we let demonic forces in, and they're allowed to tamper with us through sin, because God can't have anything to do with sin. So when we sin, it further separates us from God and lets the demons in to attack us. So anyways, yeah, that's why they attack drug addicts. Psychosis, like this is shape-shifting aliens messing with people, giving them schizophrenia or drug-induced psychosis, making you feel crazy, ruining your sense of reality, ruining your trust in your environment, isolating you, ruining your life, disconnecting you from God and disconnecting you from everybody else, because it's all about relationship. God created us for relationship, and relationships are the most important part of our lives. Relationships dictate how we think and feel, and how we feel about each other, and how we feel about life, right? So that's why they're trying to ruin our relationships constantly. God bless you all in Jesus' name. Just don't stop loving. We even got to love them. We don't know who's who. Just love them out. Let God sort it out.
Shape-shifting fallen angel. Interesting. Reptilians, huh?
Reason is because this glass of water here is in a state that I cannot actually turn into the liquid crystal inside my cells that my body's actually craving.
Liquid crystal?
So as soon as water gets inside a human cell, it turns into a gel, and it functions as a liquid crystal. It can actually hold light energy just as a liquid crystal in your radio would.
First of all, what is going on with your voice? Maybe you should drink some water.
And so that liquid crystal that I'm craving is the interplay between H2O molecules and salt, electrolytes.
Hello everybody, here's Martin, your personal water sommelier.
Okay, the only crystal form of water is this one. I like to ski on it, but I'm not gonna drink that.
So water in all of its natural states is never just H2O. It's always a dance between energy in the form of minerals and electrolytes and these massively beautiful molecules of the H2O itself.
So the idea that water is more than just water, I think, is not new. So yes, your body needs minerals and electrolytes to absorb actually water to your cell. So that is nothing new. But this whole idea of that water needs to be crystallized now and that there's an energy level of water is all for me baloney.
What we've come to do is take all of nature out of the water, and then we give you a bunch of H2O in a glass and be like, here, this will satiate you.
But the big difference is between him and me.
So what happens when you get literally off the liquid diamonds?
How many of you remember the early 90s rock band, The Bangles, made of moms by day and rock stars at night? Turns out two of them, these two, are actually shape-shifting reptilians. Let's take a look as they start malfunctioning on television. Their liquid crystal is running all out. Don't worry, girls, your makeup looks wonderful, but your shedding is starting to show. They're coming out. We're hosing and exposing these dirty reptilians. It's shedding season. Look at that. They look like a zebra. This is wild. Reptilian. How many of you remember the early 90s rock band?
Oh my goodness. That was hilarious. You find very old water inside crystal, I wouldn't drink it.
To meet with teenagers who were living in exclusion, who were living in extreme poverty, listen to their stories and write them for UNICEF. And so, I mean, I obviously learned so much from these kids. I learned from Anna in particular, who has lived an extremely difficult life. I learned to live each day to its fullest.
Excuse me, Jenny, there's a word you used earlier in the interview about exclusion. Can you explain what that is?
Well, a lot of it after the University of Texas, after graduating, and then went on to Latin America. And you know, of course, I've grown up. It's been 7 years since people had that image of me. But yeah, I mean, listening to their stories was incredible. And
Jenna, when you see this, when you not only listen to their stories, but you get involved and you write about it as well, does it change how you look?
United States government and to help them get the medicine they need to stay healthy. But definitely, and I think the key is education. And for instance, with Anna's mother didn't have the education. Education in Latin America has taken the proper ARVs, and
That triangle
is most likely HIV negative. So there is a positive light to all of this.
Does it ever make you feel like you?
I don't know, man. That last one looked like it was some type of formation, some type of triangle on her forehead, man. That reptilian must have been high ranked. Your thoughts below. We chilling on these dark waters.
The reason why crystals are so important to our body. The reason why crystals are so important to our body is because not only do our body synthesize crystals called liquid crystals or liquid crystallines, we actually have it within inside of our molecular structure. And inside your brain, you have like trillions of what you will call magnetite crystals. Then around each different cells, it's called the cytoskeleton of the cell. Even inside of our cytoplasma, you have something called cholesterol, LDL cholesterol and HDL cholesterol. When these things mix with mucus around the cells, they form something called liquid crystals. And all crystals is these organic patterns that act as receptors and antennas to your outside environment. So your skin acts as a receptor where it scans the environment and it brings signals back to the environment, and it tells your molecular structure how to change to interact with the environment. Well, what this signal is interacting with, not only is it interacting with the environment, but when it brings the signal back, it brings the signal to the actual liquid crystals, and the liquid crystals actually go through something called DNA methylation, where DNA methylation changes the genome, and this changes how you interact with your environment. So crystals are amazing. And not only that, crystals are powerful because they actually operate at a certain frequency. They call it microhertz, and your body and your cells have certain microhertz to them. If you look at the volts of each individual cell in your body, the body consists of 150 trillion cells. These cells have a 0.07 volt that's actually megawatt volt that's coming from them. This is actually electrified or magnified by the actual liquid crystals inside the body. So crystals are amazing. Your body is made of crystals. Cell phones are made of crystals. Computers are made of crystals. This new nanotechnology that they're using for televisions is made of crystals. The very camera, the glass in there, these are crystals. So without crystals, you really can't function properly, because crystals actually magnify and it's a receptor to the electrical magnetic grid of the earth. So crystals are very important, and crystal work is important too.
Priestess, that I have to let everybody know that, and we're like real spiritual.
Yeah, Don't come around my chicken.
Okay, let me just disclaim this real quick. So we are vegetarian, vegan. You don't have to spill blood for Ifa unless you're cursed.
Oh yeah, I know.
Blood is a very powerful tool to use because it's liquid crystal. My mom's a priestess, that I have to let everybody know that, and we're like
The man behind.
And she said blood is a liquid crystal? Well, that's interesting.
LCD Technologies demonstrated that he could imprint an image from his mind into liquid crystals. Marcel Vogel was a scientist at IBM for 27 years, where he received 32 patents for his inventions. One of his most remarkable discoveries came when he focused his mind on a liquid solution of cholesterol for an hour, visualizing the image of Mother Mary. The figure then visibly appeared in the liquid crystals, proving that crystals could receive and hold imprints coming directly from the human mind. After working with liquid crystals, he applied these concepts to create the famous Vogel crystal. He received a vision of the Tree of Life as the key pattern for cutting a clear quartz crystal into the optimal resonant shape for cohering thought and energy, creating a master healing tool. Any thought put into a Vogel crystal will be held, amplified, and transmitted energetically into other systems.
This ancient water has been trapped in this quartz crystal. It can be traced back to over 100 million years ago. It is the most pure water on the planet and is free of all man-made pollutions. This crystal helps you purify your mind, body, and soul. And it's often referred to the elixir of life. Do you like it? This ancient...
My personal research. Now, crystals are sentient living beings in my personal...
Uh-oh, your boy snuck in here again.
Now, crystals are sentient living beings in my personal research. They can replicate, they can communicate, they can...
Keep your head on a swivel.
Send and receive information. They're alive. They can grow on their own. They can duplicate. So I believe that another thing that they did was they used stone that had crystal, because in their perception, they were creating living machines. Okay, so the statues, they were alive. These vases, they're alive. Those boxes, they're all alive because they're loaded with so many tons of crystal.
What is it? Is it quartz crystal or
quartz crystal?
Quartz.
Yeah.
What do you think the purpose of those boxes were?
Oh, halls of Amenti. So if you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, my first book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, I break it all the way down.
Okay.
He had these boxes in these underground halls that were discovered underneath the Great Pyramid, exactly where he says they were in his tablets. And in these halls, and it was just one of the locations. They had them all over the earth. They would actually create their own bodies. So we fashioned our own bodies. So they would either take a stem cell and turn it into a clone of themselves, but they didn't take other bodies. They said they made their own. And then they would put a body in a rejuvenation chamber, which is the box. And then they would transfer their consciousness from the body that's been used up into the newer body. And they said we would walk amongst men, but unlike a man. And so they would be here walking around,
And you wouldn't even know that they just been transferring their mind from body to body.
So those giant boxes under the pyramid, what were they really going on? Now we got halls of adamante. It could have been some type of battery charger. It could have been water under the pyramids. I don't know. I've been out the game for so long, fighting for my life on these dark waters. I can't even stress the pyramid power plants, all that. I gotta get back on it, man. I lost my edge. You know, I gotta, the fight is in me, but the knowledge is too much. Like Riddler on Batman when he was absorbing all that information. It's too much.
This world is changing for the better. How many people seen the crystal quartz coming through the earth? The planet is speaking to us. When she wake up, we wake up. We have no time to stay asleep no more. Remember, crystals is knowledge, wisdom, and data. These crystals are coming through the earth because it's time for us to wake up. Don't forget that we have a crystal city inside of this planet. Crystal City is the highest vibration on this planet. Let's not forget that our pineal gland is really a crystal that's...
Could that Crystal City be the halls of adamante for entertainment purposes only? I don't know, but it sounded good.
Stores and holds data. Once we remember that we are crystals, we will understand why they want our pineal gland to be calcified. At first, it's going to seem like the world is falling apart, but it's not falling apart, it's coming together. Once we come together and realize what's really going on, the game is over for the people that run this world. It's the reason why we have chakras inside of our body. These chakras are really crystal, but your crystal will not shine if you don't heal your body. That's why spirituality is so important. It's all about healing and remembering who you are. So when you hear about these quartz breaking through the planet, it's just the first step. More is going to come. Remember, these Hollywood movies tried to warn us or let us know that crystals are really important. Matter of fact, crystals is how we talk to our ancestors. Remember this guy, Superman? He went to a crystal cave to talk to his ancestors, but the green crystal always made him weak. Why did the green crystal make him weak? It's because the green crystal represents the heart chakra. And the people that run this world are the false serpents. When you look at Superman logo, you might see an S, but it's not really an S. His logo is really a serpent because he represents the false reptilians that took over our world. Did you know there's crystals in cell phones, TVs, radios, all kind of technology for communication? The earth is trying to speak to us. That's why the quartz is breaking through the planet. You must have high vibrations or be connected to the mother to understand what she's trying to tell us. It's a warning. Things are changing for those who put in the work and effort to change. But for those who want to stay asleep, you're going to stay asleep. I have an 18-step guide in my ebook if you want to know what to do when
I'm connected to the Father that created the earth and the moon through his son. Next video.
So physicists think that crystals are the key to understanding the entire universe, and this is like mind-blowing in physics right now. By the way, I didn't buy this, and X gave this to me for some reason, and I'm pretty sure it's cursed. You ever wonder why they're called crystals? So this kind of crystal is an example of a crystalline solid which has a crystal structure. But what does that mean? Crystal structure is anything whose microscopic building blocks, like atoms, forms a periodic, definite pattern, and not all crystal structures are the same, as we all know. But that's not the crazy part, okay? Crystallography is the study of crystal structures. Crystallography has really only been taken seriously in the last decade. In the 80s, quasicrystals were discovered. A quasicrystal is a crystal whose structure doesn't have that definite pattern. It's ordered, but it's not periodic. First of all, we've only made synthetic ones. These aren't naturally occurring, except two that came from a fucking meteorite that hit the earth, but whatever. Second of all, there was a Princeton professor who thought that quasicrystals might have something to do with the mysterious phenomenon of prime numbers. Prime numbers are the biggest mystery in math, right? Like, they'll offer you $1 million if you can find a pattern in them. But he had this feeling that quasicrystals and the pattern in prime numbers, the pattern, might be related. It turns out they follow the same Ulam spiral. which implies that the pattern of prime numbers is a completely different category of a structure. I immediately thought of the Fibonacci sequence and how we see that in nature. Like, this could also be, prime numbers could be a reflection of these quasi-crystals. Now, here's the mind-blowing part. I found a really good example of this in a video. So that 3D crystal produces that 2D quasi-crystal. There's a group of scientists that are researching this because they think that our three-dimensional world is a reflection of a four-dimensional crystal. And they never taught us this in school, but there is a fourth state of matter that exists in that fourth dimension. And what is it? It's called a time crystal. This whole thing is super complicated, but the craziest part about time crystals, remember when Nikola Tesla had that idea for infinite energy in a perpetual motion machine? And we're like, this is impossible because it violates the first two laws of thermodynamics, right? Except for the fucking people on Reddit who think they're the next Nikola Tesla. But the pattern in time crystals are in perpetual motion without violating those laws. It's very similar to a perpetual motion machine, but it's not going to produce energy. But they are using it for quantum computing right now. All of this is very interesting and exciting. My beef with physicists comes when they don't work with philosophers, because a complete physical theory of everything must coexist with all states of consciousness. Physicists make shit philosophers, and philosophers don't think physics is important, and you can't be a good philosopher if you don't know physics. First example that came to mind is you see quasi-crystals all the time on psychedelics. Someone should look into that. So physicists.
She was low-key cooking. I gotta go back and rewatch that. It was a lot of information getting thrown at me, but seeing that three-dimensional cube from that two-dimensional cube, just from the shade, that was interesting. Definitely onto something on that last one. She was cooking.
Free, unlimited energy straight from crystals. And guess what? It's not as crazy as it sounds. First of all, before I dig in, is this going to power your house? No. I mean, maybe if you had like a giant crystal and you had a massive wrecking ball and you just slammed them together, maybe. And I'm not talking about this billion-dollar scam right here either. So way back in 1880, these two scientists right behind me, Pierre Curie and Jacques Curie, figured out that if they applied mechanical stress to the crystals, a voltage would develop. So what's happening here is the direct generation of electrical energy straight from crystals using mechanical stress like vibration, pressure, or even a hammer like this hitting a crystal. And it's called the piezoelectric effect. And what's wild is that even way back then, they discovered that you could do this with quite a few materials. The first being quartz. And I just state that one first because it's the most popular when it comes to piezoelectric materials. But it's also possible to do this with tourmaline, topaz, Rochelle salt, and the shocker, cane sugar. Now, look, it took a very long time before there was a practical use for this phenomenon. The first of these had to do with detecting submarines back in World War I, and a very cool invention that you should look up. Look up this guy's name and you'll find it. And fast forward to present day, and there are a ton of applications for this technology. And believe it or not, it's the backbone of a lot of the stuff you use every day. But anyhow, let's get to the important stuff, energy generation. Here's the thing, look at the world around you. Your movements like walking, running, cars traveling on the road, vibrations from machines, on and on. These are all mechanical stresses that make up our everyday life. And guess what? We can tap this vibrational energy to help power our world. And it's pretty basic as to how it works. Take a crystal like quartz and attach two wires, one on opposite sides. Hit it with a hammer, your hand, anything, and boom, you will generate electricity. Your hand might hurt though if you use that. And what's interesting is that it works in the opposite direction. So you can apply a voltage to one of these piezoelectric materials, and guess what happens? The crystal or material will deform. But again, here's the thing. You're not going to power your oven, toaster, or charge your Tesla. Ain't happening. But what you will be able to do is harvest the energy from the environment to power and charge small devices. Or maybe no one's figured out how to really tap this. Anyhow, it's been in the works for years and may begin to find practical applications for charging and powering your everyday devices. And there are a ton of patents detailing inventive ways to implement this technology in your everyday life. From putting it in shoes, into buildings, you name it, the possibilities are endless. Remember that shoe I just told you about? Well, this is an insert for a shoe that can harvest energy just from you walking. And guess what? People are already doing this on their own. Hobbyists are. This guy did it right here. We should probably do this as a project. What do you guys think? But this invention right here is probably one of my favorites. It generates electrical energy from car tires. I've covered this in a previous video, which you should go and check out. But this isn't only limited to just lifeless crystals and rocks. You may not believe it, but your bones are piezoelectric, even your DNA and certain proteins. So what could that mean? Who knows? And there's this weird thing called earthquake lights, and some scientists believe that this is caused by the quartz in the Earth's crust, and that when earthquakes happen, that vibration occurs. Massive electrical charges built up. People say they see lights before earthquakes and during them. Free.
Wow. Earthquake lights. Tires that can charge. That is a great idea, man. Earthquake lights. What? Piezoelectricity. I've been asleep. They keeping these from the public. What else are they lying to us about? We got free electricity everywhere. From the mercury rectifiers, from the piezoelectricity, from crystals being smashed together. What else are they not telling us, y'all?
They discovered that there's two types of crystals on and in the pineal gland.
So what he's referencing is a study done by Israeli scientists back in 2002. This study was able to confirm the existence of non-pathological calcite crystals that exist within and on our pineal glands. This means that the ancients, Tesla, Einstein, and Da Vinci all knew the power of activating these microcrystals through breathwork and meditation. Once activated, these crystals have a piezoelectric effect and emit their own electromagnetic field. These crystals are also very sensitive to frequency, and they basically transform our pineal gland into a high-frequency radio antenna, enabling us to access the quantum field or the Akashic record. These quantum signals are faster than speed or the wavelength of light, meaning they're perceivable beyond our five senses. So when the microcrystals are resonating and accessing the quantum field, our brains are transcending this information from basically frequency into electrical pulses and relays the information in the most profound way. This information is carried in the form of thoughts and imagery. Quartz crystals are used to enhance this piezoelectric effect. Like and follow for more.
Going quantum with my thoughts. I'm harnessing everything. Come on, going quantum with thoughts. They broke it down. Gotta keep that pineal clean.
Let's talk about crystals. A lot of people had this false narrative about crystals. I've heard they were evil, witchcraft, or whatever else you want to say. I've heard it. Crazy thing is your brain actually contains crystals. Then you like diamonds, right? Let me let you in on something. Diamonds are also crystals. So now do me a favor and quit picking and choosing. Now that we got that out the way, let me tell you the good about crystals. Crystals contain and hold energy. Crystals are a big help on your spiritual journey. Every type of crystal helps one of your 7 chakras. For example, the ones that want to open up their third eye, you have crystals for that. This amethyst crystal helps the third eye and your crown chakra. So you use it and pull its energy in meditation. It also gets rid of bad energy, so I keep it close to me. So just remember, they always label the stuff that's good for you, bad for you, man. Start using your own brain, your own judgment. Peace to you all. It will all come falling down. Let's talk about crystals.
What's going on? Y'all gonna get a crystal necklace, man? Y'all let me know. Keep the bad spirits away. Y'all let me know, man. Me, I've been alright without it, man. It's, you know, I think about that story, you know, when they was asleep on the boat, thunderstorm going everywhere. It's, you know, everyone on the boat, you know, is panicking. They don't know what to do. And the master, the Messiah, is sitting there knocked out sleep during the middle of a thunderstorm. You know, what type of what type of operation is going on to allow that to happen is what you might want to ask yourself. Let's keep it going on these dark waters.
There were 13 heads, and it was purported that the Navajo, the Anasazi, the Mayans, the Aztec each had one. The most famous one is the Mitchell Hedges skull, which was found in the Yucatan by Anna Mitchell Hedges. She reached into a cave. She was with her grandfather. It was around 1926, and she reached in, and there was an oilcloth covered item in there, and she pulled it out and opened it up, and there was the two-piece detachable jaw Mitchell Hedges skull. The Hewlett-Packard engineers did a test on it in the 60s. They said it could not have been carved by a lapidary, by tools. It had to have been polished over hundreds of years, over centuries, to get to the shape that it was. So they said it was a polished item. So there's the Phyllis Newman skull named Max. She has to put it in the closet because it talks to her. Then there's the Mitchell Hedges skull that's in Indiana. People said when they walked into the room and she uncovered it with the cloth she kept it in, that there was an immediate feeling of well-being and healing coming over. There's one in Mexico City. It's got a cross stuck right in the top of it, which is, that would shatter a crystal if you did that. How that cross got there, I don't know. There were 13 heads, and it was...
Dang, that story's off the Richter scale. Did you guys hear about that? Yikes. That one with immense healing, that's cool, but the one that, that got enlarged, what did bro do? Yikes. Your thoughts below. They saying these photos are leaked. They are interesting. They hitting us with AI. These AI generated boys. Yeah. But who knows? That's the dilemma now. People don't know if they real or fake. Is it some type of what's going on? Got different creatures down there. Hollow Earth Crystal City. Interesting. You got to think about the breastplate of was it Josh Shear? Oh no, I got to go back, man. Your boy's been trapped on the waters. I'm trying to get back to full strength, y'all. Forgive me.
Have you ever heard of crystal skulls? These are ancient and mysterious artifacts that some people believe the skulls hold secrets from the past, like a time capsule. But here's the crazy part. Some people believe that these skulls are actually alien technology. Aliens left behind these skulls, filled with incredible knowledge for us humans. But guess what? Governments around the world are keeping it absolutely secret. For what? Well, they don't want us to get our hands on this incredible alien intelligence. So these skulls could be like a hidden treasure trove, of information about space and maybe even extraterrestrial life. It's like the aliens left us a special gift and we haven't opened it yet. However, one day we may discover the truth behind these fascinating crystal skulls.
What are you doing to it?
Just a little experiment. Such an honor for you. No Gelfling has laid eyes upon the crystal in 1,000 trines. Look deep into it.
I feel it's pulling.
Don't mirror. Don't fight. Give the crystal your fear, your love, your secrets.
Please, my lord, help me.
Give the crystal everything. Give it your very
Dang. What type of Planet of the Apes movie is this? That Tartarian tech.
You can do this outside.
Wow.
To hide it from your electric fan, but it's okay to do in your house. And they don't really care. They don't really like you, the electric company. They don't. If they see anything on the wires outside, especially a quartz crystal, they will ask you to remove it, or they'll remove it themselves. So I'm just gonna stick this up here onto this main one right here.
She getting extra juice. Her home is getting powered by a quartz crystal. She getting extra juice. The electric company gonna owe her money.
How the electricity is slowed down. It'll actually slow down your meter, and you'll still have same electricity power, but you will not have as high bills, which is saves you money. So you gotta take your quartz.
I've heard opals are bad luck. I've heard they're only bad luck if they're not your birthstone. But I've never heard that you shouldn't buy one for yourself. Now, y'all know I love a good conspiracy. I also own a crystal shop, so I know a lot about crystal lore. But I've never entertained the idea that opals are bad luck. It just never resonated with me. But this comment got me curious, and I really wanted to know where all these rumors came from. Being a conspiracy girly, I immediately thought, this sounds like the work of Big Diamond. Big Diamond, aka De Beers. So I went with that, and lo and behold,
Okay, TikTok. You guys don't know what's going on. Researchers discovered 2 massive crystal pyramids on the bottom of the ocean floor. If you guys don't know, you need to look it up right now. It's in the Atlantic Ocean. Legend says any plane or anything that goes to the supposedly ends up in a different dimension. I don't know. That's just a legend. But if this article is true, and this is an actual picture of the crystal pyramids found in the ocean, then this is actually bigger than Egypt. We got to get researchers down there and figure out what's going on. I mean, I think this has connection to do with the crystal skulls that they're always finding. I mean, they're crystal pyramids, crystal skulls. Put 2 and 2 together here. I told you guys. They only searched like 10% of the ocean. There is way, way more they haven't discovered. Comment down below what your guys' opinion is on this.
So among the CIA's declassified documents, there are a lot for Project Stargate, the psychic research project that the government has done. And this one article, I guess in particular, talks about a $350,000 purchase for crystal quartz, and the use was to power the radio networks, okay? So this literally means that crystals literally have energy, just like we thought. So here's the document. You guys can pause it to read if you want. It literally just talks about the purchase of crystal quartz being used for radio, like for powering the radio. What?
Crystals. I've been yelling about these mercury rectifiers for the longest if you look at my past videos. But could it been these crystals? These crystals that's powering this jet ski could power much more. Interesting.
For the longest time, we heard that crystals are demonic, but I'm going to give it to you in a way that you probably never heard before. Crystals in itself is not demonic, but when you place your faith in these things, then that's when it becomes satanic. You worshiping Satan and you don't even know it. I'm not here to judge you. I got some things I want you to think about. Lucifer was the one building the foundation for the New Jerusalem. For each foundation that he built, a crystal, a stone was placed on his skin. If he laid the foundation for sapphire, sapphire was placed on his skin. If he laid the foundation for jasper, jasper was placed on his skin. Lucifer was covered with the very stones that people idolize today. He reached the 9th stone and placed it on as usual. Lucifer was so beautiful that he was lifted up because of the pride and beauty that entered his heart. Fell from heaven, completing only 9 of the 12 foundations that he was supposed to lay. Lucifer right now is falsely called the bright and morning star. God did not create Lucifer with all this beauty like people think. If that was the case, he would have fell a long time ago. It was only when the stones was placed on him, he's saying how beautiful he became and got puffed up. God don't care about your title. He don't care about how many accolades you got. He resists the proud. You trust in crystals more than you trust in God, that's where the problem lies. When you trust more in the creation than you do the creator, God don't like that. You don't need crystals when you got the ultimate healer in Jesus. Isn't he just a breath of fresh air? You know, you be watching stuff, but this brother right here, when you just watching him, you know, it's the serenity, the joy. You can see the spirit operating. Man, that's beautiful. All praises. Jesus will give you peace and healing that no crystal can. Don't need crystals to be beautiful, because that's what you already are. In Jesus' name, Father, for more. For the You guys want to check him out? That's Humble Keys. Shout out to the bro. For we're not wrestling flesh and blood. We're wrestling spiritual wickedness in high places. Shout out to the bro. Continue the good fight. Because Lord knows I am.
Want to see something cool? I have some clear quartz crystal. I'm going to show you piezoelectricity. So if you're skeptical about the power of crystals, stay tuned. Regular clear quartz. Watch this. Turn off the light. I'm going to start rubbing these together. Want to see something cool? I have some clear quartz crystal.
He was doing that fast.
Piezoelectricity. So if you're skeptical about the power of crystals,
Listen, it's almost like he took a machine out and was hitting it. No, I'm just kidding. Let me see if I can do it that fast.
I'm going to start rubbing these together.
Yeah, it could work. Yeah, that's him flapping it. That's real. That's real electricity, however he's generating it. PZO electricity. You might be on to something, man. Might be on to something.
When you go in with the crystal into a person's energetic field, a lot of times it goes into this thymus area. When you rotate the crystal, Marcel used to call it a critical rotational angle. There is a point everybody has from their soul, their own unique frequency that's in your DNA. And when you attune, it's almost like a radio dial where you tune into, you'll feel it. You'll feel it. I don't know how to describe it, but when you tune, you'll feel, all of a sudden, it'll feel like a stop. And once you become in resonance with the person, become one with the person, and then you have the person do deep breathing. You can't work on a person whose energy is completely depleted. They have to build up, and the breath helps build up the energy in that person. And so you breathe along with the person, and you have they say, ask and you shall receive, right? You ask the person to go in with their mind's eye. And usually when you have something that's bothering you, it'll guide you right into where the pain is. And you ask to be shown what is the root core of this distortion that's in, from our soul pattern, we have perfection coming into our 3D physical manifestation. And along the way, there amplify, and how that amplification happens is rather a kind of a rotational angle into the area, and you're breathing along with the person, and the person knows that when it'll be a release breath. There'll be a series of breaths. You build up, and the person is locking on, getting a good fix on it, right? And then when this is my own terminology, Marcel used his own way of explaining it, when you got a good fix on it, at the intake of the breath, at the peak, all of a sudden, then you go and you lock onto it with the person. This all happens simultaneously. Pull out the distorting program, like that, with a sharp pulse of breath, and then you replenish with love. Love is the integrative force that makes us whole. We don't need crystals to do, we have the abilities within us to do healing and things without the need of a crystal. But if you see a glass crystal and a quartz crystal, there's a big difference between the two. The Russians did an experiment where they had a glass window, and then they replaced it with a quartz window, and the cell culture could communicate to the other one and communicate the disease, unfortunately. It acts as a window for these higher dimensional energies. The crystal has a hexagonal quality to it where you have the positive and negative triads are perfect balance in the center. When you put physical pressure, it's called the piezoelectric effect. When you put physical pressure on it, you get a huge voltage spike on the outside, because what you're doing is you're offsetting the positive negative charge centers on trillions of these little six-pointed star configurations that are in the crystal, and it creates the voltage. Useful for frequency generation. Once a crystal is cut, they're very precise, and it stays on that particular frequency. The lattice structure. Now, the lattice structure, if we look at now I'm always thinking in terms of a broadcast engineer. These are all examples of what's called a phased array. A phased array means that you take one antenna, and then you duplicate that antenna next to it, exactly the same.
Hold on, that's HARP, isn't it? That looks like HARP.
And you get a 3 dB gain. And if you duplicate it again, you get another gain. And you get this tremendous gain. And similar to how we have this lattice structure that's aligned with this universal matrix, in which appears to interface with mind, amplifies. And that's just how it amplifies in the electromagnetic spectrum. The interface with consciousness into the quartz is similar. There's more of life you know, as you look at it in 3D, it's basically the geometry within the quartz crystal, where you can oscillate a liquid and they will form, you know, different geometries according to the frequency of the geometry, which gives a clue to how matter is in form. And also the periodic table of elements is also connected. Our DNA is geometry. You know, it goes on and on and on. It's when
Well, let's jump into what Marcel Vogel has to say about it, ladies and gentlemen. This is officially Dark Waters 9. Let's see what he's talking about. This looks like a long one, guys. You better lock in, buckle up, get you some snacks, because this is going in deep.
And we have our little friend here, our little teddy bear mascot in the laboratory, who will be our recipient of the energies and forces that we are going to be working with at this time. The primary point of entry in working with these crystals is the thymus gland. And to identify the thymus gland, you go from across your shoulders and you go down, normally the width of a hand down from the chest, except down here you go 2 fingers, and it's just below the top of the shoulder blades, right here. To activate the thymus gland, it's quite common that you take and you thump. You do this time a number of times, and if you feel tired and you find the right position, you hear a hollow sound. That is right over the thymus gland. Different tone, listen. Hear that? Here is the thymus gland. And it controls the immunological activity of the body. It is also the witness area of the body. So now when one goes into the thymus gland with a crystal that has been charged, one goes in now counterclockwise. Watch my hands close slowly. Go in counterclockwise, and now I stop about 1.5 to 2 inches away, and now I rotate slowly in a clockwise direction until I feel a resistance. At the same time that I do that, my hand is opposing the crystal that I'm holding with my right hand. If I'm left-handed, I work with the left hand and feel with the right. If I'm right, I work with the right hand and feel with the left. Now, there are 2 important functions. One, I want to find the correct spacing between the physical body and the subtle or etheric body. I want to be in the etheric body, not into the etheric double, which is about 1/2 inch off here, but into the pure energy body. We are here, my other hand opposes. Now I scan in a up and down and transverse direction until I find that point of resistance which defines the subtle body, and especially the energy emanating from the thymus gland. I hold this crystal steady and I rotate this hand until I can count to the maximum point of resistance. When I do that, I feel a pulsing vibration in the left hand. When a charge flow takes place, the crystal pulsates in exact
rhythm to what I experience in my left hand. This may take a few seconds, or it may take minutes, but you must be patient in holding the crystal steady and waiting for the person to acknowledge that they feel an energy flow going into their body. There is no control of your breath or theirs. It is purely establishing an energetic link between yourself and the body of the person and my other hand. And once that energy flows, I then start breathing. Please note this, that when you go into the body of a person and link, you take one breath and slowly release the breath until you come to the half breath. And now hold your breath. And if the person cannot make within that breath a linkage, you relax, let it out through the mouth, breathe through the nostril again, come down and establish this link. And it's in the holding of breath that this charge builds up and links to the person. When you feel a charge motion and the person acknowledges, you then do the synchronization with the person's breath. You tell then the person to breathe in, and you start this up and down motion and breathe out. For each breath you tell them, you breathe an exact synchronization to their breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, as you are doing this, you're breathing in and out with the patient. You are thinking the thought of well-being, love, peace be to you. And when I'm ready for the next phase, I usually say the word, peace be to you. May your mind, heart, and spirit become
force and motion vectors that actually show the magnetic and dielectric field. And this is the reason why we see lines, where you see constructive and destructive interference is perfectly toroidal or donut shape. And of course the negative image of a donut shape is, of course, a hyperboloid or an hourglass shape. So if you actually take the negative image of this, you will see the dielectric. Now this is a really weak magnet. I'll show you a really powerful magnet here in a second. I'll show you how much more sensitive this structure, this new super sensitive supercell is. Let's zoom in and do that, huh? Doesn't matter whether I place it on the top or the bottom. The magnetic field penetrates through absolutely everything.
Kind of looks like an eyeball, doesn't it? How creepy is that?
Absolutely everything. But let's place it underneath the supercell here. Here you go. Focus. There we go. Now let's zoom in a little bit. Here. Of course, the way the contrast. You can actually see rings along the... looks like an owl's face, doesn't it? This is the secret of Mother Nature here. This is the actual constructive and destructive interference. Here's one pole, here's another pole. But a magnet doesn't actually have poles. What it has is the inverse of counter space, which is specifically force and motion. See centrifugal divergent magnetic field, which of course is not literally being emitted from the magnet. It's literally the ether itself under polarized deformation from the field of the point source singularity that is what defines the magnet. Because a magnet is not defined by what is quantitative, rather by what is qualitative. And I've explained this 1,000 times, and also including my book. I'll show you one pole of the magnet here. Let's zoom in. Sorry about that shaky video, but if I zoom in here, you can actually see little concentric circles in the middle. Now you notice how small the black spot is? Of course, where it's black is a dielectric. This is constructive and destructive interference between the magnetic and the dielectric. This is literally the lotus blossom. It kind of looks like a lotus blossom, doesn't it? But specifically, from up above, it looks like a dream catcher. It's a hypertrochoidal pattern of constructive and destructive interference. So literally the interplay between magnetic and dielectric, because magnetism is the dielectric field. Let me give you the perfect analogy, and this is destructive to the supercell. Use this really powerful N60 Gauss magnet. People don't understand that actually a more powerful magnet actually has a smaller spatial magnetic field. The reason being, and the only kind of good analogy I could come up with, centrifugal divergent force.
There's so many different cool patterns at first. I saw an eye, then an owl. Let me know your guys' thoughts below on that one.
Nikola Tesla said that there's 3 things required to unlock the secrets of the universe: energy, frequency, and vibration. And all around us, even when we can't see it, the world is vibrating. And there's many frequencies all around us, and many frequencies of light that we can't see, and there's many frequencies of sound that we cannot see. But we can visualize it, and even with water, we can play music or any other sounds, and we can see these cymatic patterns, these frequencies, as they're played through the water. And how does that relate to the history? Well, if this is possible, then is it not possible that we could use this technology for other things? And maybe there's some secret that we just don't know.
A rain sound, when that dropped, that always makes me feel a lot better, you know. So I wonder what actually is the healing frequencies.
I think I just cracked the code to the secret of emotions and belief. What if raising your vibration was just raising your belief? What if there was no difference between what you believe and what your vibrational frequency is? Because your emotions are directly correlated to what it is that you believe. Because imagine that you had sadness or anger or frustration come up in your thoughts. Does that immediately cause you to be in that emotional state? If you're really paying attention, it does not. It doesn't. How? Because it's not until we latch onto it, till we latch onto that thought of anger. Yeah, I should be angry because this person cut me off on the road. I should feel sad because of all these things that are happening in my life. So it's not until we believe that thought that we begin to suffer. So then the key is to change the context in which you believe that these certain situations in your life have this meaning. Maybe they don't have the meaning of the negativity. Start to contemplate the gift, the love in the situation or the opportunity, and see what happens.
About 30 years ago, Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto discovered the world of Hado. He treated more than 10,000 clients with a Hado measuring device and water, and he helped heal many people who had different kinds of problems mentally and physically. He knew that water could memorize information, so he devised water crystal photography to prove his theory, and succeeded. Water crystal photography shows that water reacts to any information vibration by showing different designs. If the two forks are tuned to the same note, then they resonate together. This is how energy is transmitted into two vibrating objects of the same natural frequency. Two forks that are slightly tuned to different frequencies. Despite they are 2 hertz differences, and they're not conducting or resonating with each other. Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." In this video, we will talk about what is the power of vibration, its use in ancient civilizations and the modern world, and how it can impact human health, behavior, and the entire universe. The secrets of the universe are based on energy, frequency, and vibration. The somatic patterns we can form using the same vibrations must mimic a universal process and continuously unfold throughout the universe. The law of vibration states that anything that exists in our universe, whether seen or unseen, broken down into and analyzed in its purest and most basic form, consists of pure energy or light, which resonates and exists as a vibratory frequency or pattern. Science has found that energy vibrates in different frequencies when breaking down all matter. In addition to everything vibrating, all matter that seems solid, liquid, or gas is empty space. The electrons, protons, and neutrons in the atom are in constant motion. Although modern scientists are opening new research doors on energy, frequency, and vibration, ancient civilizations were well aware of it. Words carry energy, and the intention behind the words conveys the vibration. Not that using any old word is all fine, but the energy you put behind a word will carry the meaning more deeply. Every molecule or atom in this
You gotta think about those Street Fighter moves when they be like, Hadouken! They really be meaning that.
universe vibrates at a particular frequency. A molecule in free space can vibrate because the atoms which make up the molecule can move in different directions relative to the position of the whole molecule. Atoms and molecules have energy, even at 0 Kelvin. This energy causes them to vibrate, among other things. Interactions between various components of the molecules, like nuclear repulsion, nuclear attraction, and electron repulsion, determine their motion. Each component has a finite amount of energy associated with it. Once you know the resonance frequency, you can clinically cured. The other two took 20 days longer. Associate professor and director of music at Skidmore College, Anthony Holland, a composer interested in the physical effects of sound, decided to learn the impact of audio frequencies in microbiology. Holland and his team searched for the exact frequency that would directly shatter a living microorganism. The magic number finally came from 2 inputs, high frequency and low. The high frequency had to be exactly 11 times higher than the low, which in music is known as the 11th harmonic. At this 11th harmonic, microorganisms begin to shatter like crystal glass.
If I tap this fork, putting little pulses of energy into it, the second fork will also vibrate in sympathy. And if I silence this fork, we just may hear the other singing its tone. We say that I'm inducing a sympathetic resonant vibration in the second fork. It only works because both forks are tuned to the exact same frequency.
About 30 years ago, Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto discovered the world of Hado.
Wow, how fascinating is that? They're definitely on to something about this frequency. How come they're not talking about this? I feel like there need to be frequency healing centers everywhere, if you ask me. Kind of makes you think about those giant bells.
Oliver's Castle, Wiltshire, 1989.
There's a couple of lights down there somewhere.
This controversial film appears to show strange objects hovering above a cornfield. Below, complex circle formations appear.
This is a really good interpretation of how they have the copper wrapped around this one. This is a good one. Toroidal loop. Toroidal loop, if I'm saying that correctly. Toroidal loop. One of my favorite TikTokers. He on crop circles. You know we gotta watch this. Shout out to Bully Slayer, man. I wonder how he's doing. I haven't seen much of him lately.
Do you want to know the meaning of crop circles? Yeah? Well, that's good. That's real good. Alright, listen to this. So as you know, crop circles can be found all over the world. But did you know that they are not just random shapes? Every crop circle is created with sacred geometry and mathematics, and every design has a meaning. This one is created in the well-known shape of the Kabbalah, and this one is built perfectly in the ratio of pi, two ancient symbols for human spirituality, the 7 chakras and the symbol for mind, body and spirit. These crop circles are of the magnetic field, and more crop circles of magnetic energies. What you need to understand is the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. Every pattern has a meaning. You just got to be able to decode it. They've even got ones that show melatonin, which is a brain hormone which supports sanity and relaxation. There's even crop circles that show the movement of the first and second sun. They've even got crop circles that show the lunar phase and the eclipse cycles. So like I said before, the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. Do you want to know the meaning of crop circles?
The eyes are useless when the mind is blind.
What you're hearing right now, and this might change your life. This is a very talented singer with her voice projecting through water. And why this is so powerful is because sound travels through all dimensions. In the second dimension, on a plane. In the third dimension, through a medium like water or air. And in the fourth dimension, where light bends around something like a bubble and we can see it and experience it through time, where that energy can flow. As soon as we were able to see this, we started to analyze what these shapes were and how they related to reality. We discovered it contains energy in atoms, and it gives those atoms the structure that they need to pair themselves with other atoms, making molecules. This builds everything around us. Our ancient homies knew this, and they made art to reflect that, to teach through that art. In doing this, they literally built the entire consciousness of humanity, which is also vibration. But it appears that most people have got lost looking for the broadcast without realizing they are the broadcast.
No, people want to give credit to ourselves for a lot of things, but you know, you can't deny the beauty when you look around in this world. You know, this is a giant masterpiece. You see his handiwork in everything. So it's just, we got to give the creator some credit.
Warning! All scientists of Earth, do not attempt to understand the true nature of gravity and why an object falls to the ground without first resolving the hard problem of your own consciousness. Is consciousness created in your brain, by your brain, or is it eternal, like the infinite spirit? Physics of your consciousness is the physics of toroidal feedback loops, no less, feedback loops of self-reference. Yes, how do you think remote viewing, ESP, telepathy, out-of-body experiences, lucid dreaming, and taking memory through death works? Besides a state of pure being in the awareness of your internal and external existence, consciousness is more than that. Now, this is going to sound strange, but you are not your body. Yes, in order to understand the physics of consciousness, you must understand that you are not your body. You are plasma donut. Yes, you are a toroidal plasma donut, a living bubble of electric charge, living mind over matter, a fractal of eternal source consciousness. The centripetal plasma vortex that conveys your consciousness is not created in your brain, no, but it is sustained by your...
When people say aura, this is what I imagine they say. You know, how hard are you vibrating? I believe aura comes from the Father, if you ask me. If only there was a way we can harness this into an infinite loop of power. They're saying this is a toroidal transformer. People are doing experiments, man. Don't attempt any of this at home. Do your own research. This is for entertainment / educational purposes only. All right, we dove into that crop circle, toroidal field. All right, were they trying to tell us about that? Now let's keep going down the list. They're trying to communicate with us, you know? What are they saying? Put in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and go to notifications, turn notifications to all so you don't miss a post. I do this normally around 7 p.m. Eastern time daily. So be on the lookout for that. But I'm not done. All right, we dug off in this. Oh man, this is another fascinating one. 3.14. That's pi. Yeah, there's pi right there. Your boy know a little bit of something, man. Are they literally? Oh, this is literally pi. Let's see if we can dive into this. All right, let's type it in.
A minute, that's a representation of pi, and it's correct down to 10 decimal places.
It's a representation of pi in a geometric sense. It's kind of interesting because the way you get pi out of it is the lengths of the different arcs in each segment. And what happens is there's these little notches in the spiral that let you know you're at the end of an arc. So you have...
Yeah, the fact that they measured that out, that would be difficult. Look at this. To map that out, I don't know. Did they set this up? You guys let me know. My personal take on it, no, man. They use some type of sound frequency like we saw in the beginning, you know, to beam these out. It's all about sound.
You actually have to measure the arc lengths as you go around, and their lengths give you the digits of pi. and there's a little circle to give you the decimal point. So it's a really interesting example of using geometry as a code for representing digits and numbers.
It just shows the level of knowledge, mathematical knowledge, geometric skill that goes into making these things.
All right, now watch how these crop circles get made now. In August 1996, John Whaley, a student, recorded a short video film while camping in South England at Oliver Castle. It shows the creation of a crop circle like a snowflake. Look, I'm gonna play it again. Just like how he was playing on those drums or that little metal device, look how it spread out like he was emitting some type of EMP frequency to make the cornfield do that, the wheat, the grass. Yeah, it got some music banging, but yeah. See how that spreads out? See if we can get it one more time. This is a real crop circle footage, y'all. For entertainment purposes only. Go to the beginning real quick. Yeah, look how it slowly spread out. They're using frequency. Let me guys know what you guys think below. Is it real or not? Were they using frequencies to do that? All right, we're back on the space bridge. Let's see what else they got for us.
Just look at the water here. Just look at the water here. So that's how you do. And last, just look at the water here.
secrets.
Watch me get my first sound shower.
There you go. So exciting. Just to give people like a taste of sound bath and just how
I didn't even know that this was possible.
Yeah.
Like, this
My
is the
boss has
biggest
all the
bubble I've ever seen.
There's some Roman chamomile oil, which is very calming. If I may, maybe I'll just put a couple drops here. Here. There you go. Rub that together. Just give a nice inhale to bring in some calm. Should we get the one for the head also, Lucas?
Yes, of course.
Right on your head and see if it's coming. Is that okay? Yep.
Okay, let's put that in there. So unlock your knees, relax, and enjoy the ride.
vibration goes from your feet up to your knees, the back, and then he's on the bed. That's wild.
And then it swirls around the midsection.
That is intense. Very, very powerful.
Because you can get very effective.
For sharing that with me. That was beautiful. I don't even want to step out. The thing is still vibrating.
Yeah, no.
Watch me get my first sound shower.
He didn't even want to step out. What is this type of shower called? Sound shower, y'all. I need one of those before I jump in the shower to get my vibration all lined up. I need to step into one of those to, you know, get mine. She said she didn't even want to step out. I want to do that, man. I need to do that before I take a real shower every day. Just stand inside, hit the top, hit the hat, you know. Who knows what type of healing that is? Y'all heard about the dolphin births? Oh, y'all ain't hear about the dolphins? Man, y'all need to go check out my whale video and dolphin video, but here, we'll play something.
The truth about dolphin-assisted births that they don't want you to know. This is Igor Charkowski, and he's assisted in thousands of dolphin-assisted births. Apparently, the dolphins would just take over the birthing process. They would swim around the mother and use sonar, which would somehow relax the mother and child to give birth with no pain or fear. There's actually a video online of a dolphin-assisted birth, and you could see how much more quick and painless it looks. It gets crazier than even this, though. There are thousands of testimonials of babies being born under dolphin-assisted births and being far more advanced than the average child. For example, they could talk and walk earlier than the average child, and apparently most of them have IQs over 150, plus extremely stable emotional bodies and strong physical bodies.
It is hypothesized that during the birthing process, the dolphins heal and boost the systematic function of these babies by telepathically communicating with them. Dolphins really are magical creatures and are extremely intelligent. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Who knew, man? Hey, I'm telling you, the dolphin-assisted births is something interesting for entertainment purposes only. Don't come for me. Yeah.
This is sound is trippy. This is what piano note vibrations look like in water. The patterns are so gorgeous. Sound is trippy. This is what piano note vibrations look like in
Look at these guys. These look like snowflakes, don't they? But like the most intense snowflakes I've seen. This kind of looks like the inside of CERN, low key. Doesn't it?
Yes.
If you have an Android, you
Purr has healing properties. So this is a fact. Cats' purrs sit between 25 and 150 hertz, and that frequency has been shown in studies to help with bone repair and increasing bone density, and it has been shown to help relieve pain in certain situations. For cats, when they purr, it releases endorphins, and that's our own kind of innate or natural pain reliever. So people that are close to purring cats can also obtain a similar effect. So for example, a lot of people with migraines will report that when they lay next to a cat that's purring, it actually gives them relief. That's beautiful. Magical little healers. A cat's purr has healing properties.
I want a cat now. You know, those cats be purring, you know.
Cats create purr vibrations within a range of 20 to 140 Hz, known to be medically therapeutic for many illnesses. Frequencies at 25 to 50 Hz are the best, and 100 Hz and 200 Hz the second best frequencies for promoting bone strength. The vibrations are also helpful for healing soft tissue. Purr vibrations help in healing, infection, and swelling. By interacting with the cat and hearing the purring sound, it can lower your blood pressure. Also, studies show that cat owners have 40% less heart attacks.
Here's a cat fun fact you might not know. When your cat lays on your chest and purrs, this is your cat trying to heal you. The vibration from our cat's purr has been proven to be medically therapeutic, and studies show the vibration helps heal our muscles and tendons. Here's a cat fun fact.
I've had a terrible headache all day. And Calvin, let me see if I could pull the phone back so you can see. He's purring and just pressing my face.
Yes, the vibrations of a cat's purr, the cycle of those vibrations have been shown to actually facilitate healing. The healing of bones and ligaments in themselves. Cats are incredibly resilient. If they're injured, they might pull themselves down and purr, which actually helps them heal. And that's what's going on here. And if Calvin, bless his soul, if he doesn't actually do that all the time, and here he is lying on her head, he is actually going to help. I think that was really wise of our headache sufferer to go, I wonder. Yes, you're right. I'll say it quietly because you have a headache. Yes. You're right. Go back to sleep.
The cat knows. He's like, oh, my owner don't feel good. Let me go heal her real quick.
So humming increases that nitric oxide 15-fold. And there was one study that showed this guy completely got rid of his rhinitis just by humming for about 10 minutes, 4 times a day. The humming also helps to calm the body down because we have the vagal nerve, right? Vagus nerve, vagal tone is right along here. So when you hum, you're sending signals to the vagus nerve and you're calming your body down. Humming is stimulating more nitric oxide and allowing it to break free from all of those tissues.
So you hum in your nose like,
So humming increases that nitric oxide.
If you're humming right now, you owe me a like. What type of trend is this? What y'all working on? This is why does this audio of a girl literally humming along to her kitchen fan somehow brings surface to every emotion I've ever pushed? Because humming is healing.
What are aliens trying to tell us about melatonin? I know that sounds crazy, but bear with me here. So out of the thousands of crop circles around the world, there are only 2 that illustrate chemical compounds, right? There's one that perfectly illustrates niacin. We'll get into that in a different video. In this video, we want to talk about the other one, which there's a crop circle that perfectly, I mean, to a T, we brought in chemists, they looked at this thing and they said, yep, that is melatonin. Why? Why would some advanced intelligence be trying to tell us about melatonin? Isn't that just the thing you take to go to sleep? Kind of. So melatonin does help you go to sleep. It's been clinically proven to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer. But it does so much more than that. Besides the millions of anecdotal stories of people saying that it helps them open their third eye, it is secreted by our pineal gland after all, that it helps people connect spiritually, that there is evidence. This guy that locked himself in a room for 7 days and he produced so much DMT, he was tripping off DMT. DMT is the spirit molecule that has been shown to have people transport out of this dimension to somewhere else. So it's a very, very powerful thing that is created endogenously inside of us. So there is evidence that a lot of melatonin can produce DMT, which is pretty amazing. But also that it's this powerful, next to glutathione, is probably the most powerful antioxidant. Some science shows that it is more powerful than glutathione. It is the most powerful antioxidant in the human body, which means that it can heal you. And to back this up, there is quite a bit of evidence that shows that cancer grows much more rapidly during the day than at night. At night, it seems to go sort of dormant. During the day, it seems to spread. This could be due, evidence suggests, more studies need to be done, but evidence suggests that this is because of the higher concentrations of melatonin at night than during the day. So we know that melatonin is a master healer. It heals our body. We know that melatonin can help us have deeper sleep, which leads to more vivid and lucid dreams. It helps us connect more spiritually. It does all these things. And just so happens there is a freaking crop circle that perfectly, I mean, scientists came in and backed this up. They cannot refute it. It is a crop circle illustrating and showing melatonin, the chemical structure of melatonin.
Are there people with ancient technology? I don't want to say advanced technology. I want to say ancient technology that's out there. And is this possible? It's been a minute since we dove into these waters, so let's dive in. All right. This one says June 17th, 2014. The Panbury Rings. And this is the world tree. Damn. Look at how big the tree is under it. What if this is like the earth and this is like the tree under it? And then this massive tree comes out. That is fascinating. I said Yggdrasil? What was that? It says 8 years later in 2018, an Italian inventor, Umberto Vado, began to use crop circles as blueprints to help design new magnetic motors. What? When have we... This is the future, isn't it? Magnetic motors? Or did they... This is something they've been using. Is this actually generating now? Magnetic motor. Let's type it in. Guys, it doesn't have any sound to this video. There's no sound to it. But this looks like to be a magnetic motor he built. That thing is pumping. Who is this guy and where is he at now? I think I remember this. They got the blueprints for this, guys. It's a US patent for a magnetic powered motor. For entertainment purposes only. Don't come for me. Oh my goodness. Where is this guy at now? Guys, if you want magnetic powered motor, here's the recipe. Who knows what you can generate off that? You can make your own something to burrow into the earth. You can, you know, who knows the possibilities. Ah, this one looks a little bit more legit. Yeah, I believe this is actually called quantum locking. I don't know if variable field magnet motor is the same thing, but this is quantum locking, I believe. This supports the sun and moon going above us without gravity as well. Quantum locking. Wow. You would think that cars would have some type of magnet inside of the tires that would charge up energy and charge the engine. How tight would that be? While you're driving, you're inputting gas. The back rear tire generates energy from the gasoline it's lifting. So it will be like a hybrid, like half gasoline, half electric. But it will go so much further because the electricity is getting generated from the wheel turning. Like it's generating, like while it's going. How come they haven't done that? Another problem that they run into is the magnets being ionized. Does that sound correct? Because the magnets lose their power the more you use it. So there's a problem with perpetual with the magnets staying charged up, still having their strength. I wonder if Mercury's magnetic.
A groundbreaking invention, an eternal machine, continuously operating solely on the power of magnets. without the need for any external energy sources. This is truly a technical marvel, exploring and leveraging the fundamental principles of magnetism to generate perpetual motion. This machine is essentially a magnetic motor, ingeniously designed to harness the repulsion between magnets, thereby creating endless rotation. The potential applications of this magnetic motor are limitless. From powering small devices to generating renewable energy on a large scale, it represents a significant step forward in our energy revolution. Its simplicity and effectiveness serve as clear evidence of the power of innovation and the ability to harness natural forces. Watch the entire video to learn how to create a motor like this yourself. Don't hesitate to ask questions if you have any doubts. Wow! Surprise with magnets can create a perpetual engine. Imagine a world where perpetual motion is not just a dream, but a reality. Introducing a perpetual motion engine, harnessing the thrust from magnets to spin endlessly. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce my latest invention, an engine using magnetic thrust, surpassing traditional limitations. In a previous video, I hinted at this breakthrough idea. Now I'm excited to unveil its inner workings. By harnessing the incredible power of magnets, we've created an engine that doesn't rely on any other fuel or external energy source.
He's building the Tony Stark reactor, isn't he?
This represents a significant innovation in sustainable technology.
Guys, we might really have to figure this out. You know, I feel like we on the verge to figuring out free energy with these magnets, man. They just missing mercury, you know, them arc rectifiers. Man, I forgot about them arc rectifiers. I think they're adding the wires here. You need to add all these together. Put all these we looked at together, line them up, have a copper wire running through it, and have it charge something up.
So this is how we make power with permanent magnets. This is actually the Motorflux motor right here. So this is how we make power with permanent magnets. This is our proof of concept. So I can go through it. I'm going to show you what each part of this is. So this is a control motor that is used to control the direction of the radial director. So it takes a very small amount of power to turn the radial director. The radial director needs to be activated mechanically or by an electric motor outside. This would actually, in an electric vehicle, this would be hooked to your accelerator. And it's coupled to a torque sensor here, which tells us how much torque we are putting into the motor. And this is actually the field director, which is being driven by that motor. These two shafts are in line and on a single axis, but the input shaft and the output shaft are not mechanically connected together. They are only connected together with magnetism. This is actually the Motorflex motor right here. So this is how we make power with permanent magnets.
All right, guys, let's go back to this crop circle. So we could see that they're using magnets to generate energy. This looks like a really good idea how they can do it. They almost remind me of like stars or planets in a way, into a vortex. Very cool. Let's keep going. Look at this next one. They're saying this is the Andy motor. So they're literally trying to give us on these crop circles. Man, these crop circles taking us through this Deep Waters 9 journey, man. I love it, man. If you enjoy this Dark Waters 9 journey, let me know in the comments below. I'm not done. We're bringing it home. These kind of remind me of those Indian ancient structures. Could they possibly been generating with those old school Indian structures? What's his name? Parev Mohan. That's my boy. Shout out to him. He be on it.
And it has some strange properties. When dropped in water, it does not sink like normal rocks. It floats. There are some rocks which naturally float in water, like pumice. But this rock you see here is not a natural formation. In fact, this is not a rock. It is a brick made by heating a mixture of mud and other materials to 1,000 degrees Celsius and was made into a lightweight block. During my recent exploration, I met two guys, Dinesh, who is an architect, and Arvind, who researches ancient sites. They explained that we use the same technology today. These blocks are called ACC or AAC blocks. AAC stands for autoclaved aerated concrete and is made by injecting foam into concrete, which makes the block lightweight. These blocks, when dropped in water, also float just like the ancient brick we saw. If we look at the Wikipedia page, it shows that AAC was invented in mid-1920s, just about 100 years ago. However, we can see that this technology was in use at least 800 years ago in India. Now, we don't know what the ancient builders used to make the bricks float, and I could not...
Did Lord Shiva imagine a giant rock? Here, you can see half of the stapler pin still intact. This is an 800-year-old artifact, guys, and it's still in place. This is the key to keeping the stone blocks immovable. You can see every stone block is stapled on this side and on the other side. It's a very strong fastening technology. Look here, we're so lucky. We're able to see a cross-section of this stapler technology. There will be plenty of these pins on the inside as well. So it's impossible.
See, look at this. This looks like some type of gear, you know? This could be our ancestors trying to communicate with us with these crop circles, guys.
To remove those unless you start dismantling this temple from the top. Here, you can see.
This is about to unlock some stuff for you. This is a rock cutting laser, and it works by using something called a laser resonator. Even the normal laser pointers use one of these at the beginning of the little chamber over there. Resonators are the reason why lasers are so powerful. Resonators vibrate at a specific frequency when electricity is pushed through it. Once it hits the right frequency, it doubles the wave. Once the amplitude is too high, that extra energy gets double jumped out of the resonator. Now we can direct that energy. If you are a Catholic, you will recognize this shape. It is very common in cathedrals. But what I want to focus on is the Hindu application of this because it was used long before the cathedral builders. Look at the shapes, look at the detail. So the Indus Valley culture utilized these stepwells, and on these stepwells they had these temples that had these cupola looking things. On the inside they look like this, which looks a lot like the inside of a cathedral cupola. But if they're not open at the top, they look like this. crazy detail here. But why? What does it mean?
Want to see something cool?
All right, is this a legitimate gem find? So the riverbed appears to be a completed game of Tetris. That gem has no sediment on it whatsoever. That's some thick ice. Going back, that gem was probably placed there a week ago, possibly before Christmas at the latest. You better be going ice fishing, because that's the realest thing you're going to find out of that hole is a fish. That's fake. All right, is this a legitimate gem find?
This mysterious clear liquid does something pretty amazing when you pour it. It's a supersaturated solution that crystallizes nearly instantly upon contact with a nucleation site, in this case, other crystals. So what's it made out of? Believe it or not, this is basically just salt and vinegar flavoring. The chemical name for this is sodium acetate trihydrate. Trihydrate means that for every molecule of sodium acetate in this chemical, there are 3 molecules of water. This is called water of crystallization, and it happens because the water stabilizes sodium acetate's crystal structure, and so it won't naturally dry any further than this. Then, by heating this on a hot plate, we don't actually melt it, we just increase its solubility to the point that it actually dissolves in its own water of crystallization. Chilling this in the fridge super cools it, making it ready to crystallize at the slightest disturbance. This mistake.
That is a cool stone. What is it, lemon? Cleaning copper with lemon? What is going on here? Oh, like the Egyptians used to have back in the day. Got the 3 6s. I can't go. Oh, this is the crystals inside the phone. Liquid crystals inside the phone.
With drinking amethyst water. My Zentrinsic. So this week I've been experimenting with drinking amethyst water. My Zentrinsic water bottle has been perfect because I can put whatever crystal blends I want in my water, and this week I chose to work with amethyst. Now, I'm going to tell you what's really happened this week since I've been drinking this water. The biggest thing I've noticed while drinking amethyst water is how calming I felt. I feel like I haven't had that much anxiety this week, and I felt very in flow with the universe. So this week I've...
I mean, it looks cool.
You ready?
Ready? This is like, oh shit. Get some oxygen. Oh my god. That is good, baby. That is good. That feels
Are you ready to be hatched?
My heart is beating so fast.
Shant is hatching! Shanti hatching!
Amazing.
I love to have one of those for a chair. How cool would it be to have one of those for a chair? I think it's got to be worth some money. What do you guys think? Or is that even that? Look like some type of crystal exhibit. Yeah.
Do you know what the rarest gemstone in our universe is? You may think it's diamond, but diamonds are a complete scam, and their whole scarcity is manufactured to make you spend a lot of money. And that makes sense because diamonds are only superheated and compressed carbon. It actually rains diamonds on Saturn. So it's not diamonds, so maybe it's like emerald? Because, maybe only our planet can make green? No. The rarest gemstones in the entire universe are actually these, and they're called organics. Because there's actually one really important ingredient needed for organics to even form, and that's life. Amber is fossilized tree resin. And no, Jurassic Park wasn't lying to you. You can actually find tons of bugs in there. As the tree gets injured, the sap comes out and kind of just drizzles over whatever's hanging out at the time. This can result in some pretty amazing inclusions like bugs, leaves, twigs, pretty much anything you can think of that's crawling around on the forest floor. On the other hand, not only do pearls need life to form, but they need a specific type of life. A mollusk. Because you see, a pearl forms when an irritant, like a little grain of sand, gets inside the shell of a mollusk. That mollusk takes that irritant, and over time it coats it with its inner shell. It's called nacre. So whatever the inside of the mollusk's shell looks like is what the pearl's going to look like in the end. So the next time you hold an organic gemstone in your hand, just know that you're holding something as galactically rare as you are. Do you know what
Galactically rare as you are. I like that. I have no idea. It could be slime, maybe?
I've heard that when you put a labradorite in water, it glows. I've heard that when you put a labradorite in water, it...
That's actually pretty cool. It did have a glow about it.
Quartz crystals to produce light. When a quartz crystal is broken, one side of the quartz has a positive charge and the other a negative. When rubbed together, this creates a high voltage between the two, and charges can jump from one side to another. Now let's see this in action. This phenomenon is known as triboluminescence or cold fire. Thousands of years ago, indigenous tribes in North America gathered quartz and placed it inside of thin hide, allowing them to shake the rattle and light it up. It is not capable of starting a fire, but it was probably used in ceremonies and storytelling.
Nah, there's more to it. I'm not going. Crystal was charging this jet ski. I'm not going. There was more to just rubbing crystals together just for ceremonies. There was something going on, some type of ancient technology going on that they're not telling us about. What's really going on?
I just found out my crystals are all piastic. Ayo, I'm gonna cry. I just found out my crystals.
Oh, so you can get ripped off and get plastic crystals? Yikes.
How to tell if crystals are real? First of all, they don't melt. Fake ones made of plastic will start to melt within 5 to 10 seconds. And then check its hardness. Take a steel knife, find a smooth surface on your crystal and try to scratch it. Steel is much softer than quartz, so there will be no scratches left. You can do the scratch test only with quartz category crystals. Don't do it with selenite or fluorite because you can damage them. How to tell if crystals are real. First,
that's all I got for today's video. If you made it this far, be sure you drop the code word in the comments. The code word is crystal. Drop crystal in the comments so I know you made it all the way through the video to the very end. You a real one. I appreciate you. Thank you, man, for being on these Dark Water 9s with your boy, man. It's tomorrow Halloween. I might have to do a Halloween video tomorrow. Break down the origins of Halloween, man. I know what y'all thinking. Oh, that's the devil's night, pagan and all that. Well, we gonna go through there, man. Maybe do some ghost stories live later or something. You know, I don't know. Drop in the comments what you guys are doing for tomorrow. And, you know, I'm interested in what you guys have to say. I always am, man. Be sure y'all check me out on Twitch if you haven't already. And if you into gaming, if you game yourself, or if you just want to hang out with your boy, I appreciate you. We mobbing on Twitch on the mornings every day. Just how we be kicking it on these episodes. We be mobbing on Twitch in the mornings, you know, from like 9 to 2, 9 to 3, 10 to 3, we be on there and taking hostages with zombies, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get to level 30, having a blast. And we're going to be jumping into some other games too. So if that's something that interests you, please, or you just like hanging out with your boy, please check me out on Twitch. I appreciate it. And yeah, we be hanging tough on there in the mornings. And I appreciate everyone that does stop by and the people that be joining me on these waters. I'm going to be doing a live soon on YouTube. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But for sure this weekend, we're going to be jumping in live. And I just want to thank you guys for hanging out on these waters with me. And I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. Peace out.